how can we create a character, a female character, who is feminine on the outside, likes frilly girly things on the outside, but also displays masculine traits on the inside? Today on the StoryPod podcast. Come on in, bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF. Hello, welcome back. So good to see you, bestie. My name is Ashley. I am your hostess with the mostest. Okay, before we get into it, I'm walking. Okay, if you can hear me and not see me, perhaps you hear a bit more of labored breathing. Perhaps my speaking isn't as smooth as it usually is, or, whatever the case may be. If you're looking at me, obviously I am in motion. This is because I am behind on steps, and I feel like I kind of low-key, high-key want to start doing at least some of these videos moving in place. And fun fact, when I was only doing audio podcasts, I did, in fact, used to be up and marching in place for at least some of them when I was, recording these audio only videos. But since I am visually before you, I have to explain a little bit, I think. Hopefully it's not too jarring. As always, get up and take a walk too. March in place too. Get some steps. Let's be active together. Anyway, with that out of the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at ash@creativebff.com, or you can visit my website, creativebff.com. Shoot me a little message in the contact section. Make sure you put in the subject that it's a story question so that I don't delete and ignore your email. But anyway, let's get right into it. We have another Reddit question. Okay, I feel like the next run of Reddit questions and even just like general content, there's going to be a lot of character focused videos, I think. I don't know if I can say it's like the month of character. But anyway, let me read the question. Sorry if you can hear my nails hitting little things and if you hear air conditioning and fans and my little walking pad. Listen, we're living life. This is real life, okay? Anyway, let's read the question. It's from the r/character development subreddit. Okay, how do I write a masculine female without making her a tomboy? What qualifies a tomboy? Noun, an energetic, sometimes boisterous girl whose behavior and pursuits, especially in games and sports, are considered more typical of boys than girls. I want to make a female character who still likes dresses and girly things, all while still being masculine and fabulous, and who isn't seen just wearing boy clothes with short hair and a plain face with no makeup. So, this is a bit of a challenging question because a fair bit of characterization, I think, is delivered through, if it's a visual medium, how the character looks, how they dress, right? It is also delivered through the things that they're interested in, what they do in their free time, their hobbies, how they interact with other people. So if we're removing those two considerations, and if we have this character in a white box and what we see is that she is dressed very feminine and her pursuits are still very feminine, how then do we give her like a masculine sort of core or vibe, right? And I think that the answer to this is going to really, I think, depend on the definition of masculinity that one subscribes to, right? And there's a lot of them out here nowadays, there's a lot of them out here nowadays. So it can be very challenging, right? I did pull up like, okay, what is what is a definition of masculinity? I did find like a little chart. So I'm going to read the sort of, I don't know, maybe these would be the basic, common, well-known differences between what is seen as feminine and what is seen as masculine. And I would argue that probably if a man, and this happens, right? If a man exhibits these traits, the traits of the feminine, which I'm going to read to you, they would often be seen, perhaps teased, or considered to be sort of more of a feminine or effeminate man without even having to dress more feminine, right? So I'm going to pull it up. Let me avert my eyes real quick. So feminine stereotypes would be empathy, nurturer, emotionality, kindness, passive, and submissive. And then masculine stereotypes would be stoicism, provider, logical, strength, active, and domineering. So, I mean, you can agree or disagree with those. Obviously, there's a mix of personality and traits and things and reasons why we exhibit the traits that we exhibit. For writing, it's helpful to distill it down to points that are easy. You know, we're not necessarily like, whatever I was about to say, we're just not going to say it. For the purposes of writing, it is helpful to have some clear traits defined that would be recognized by your readers. Not just what we as the writer thinks it should be, but if we're trying to convey this character as masculine or feminine, these have to be traits that are stereotypical, basically, right? So that people can pick up on it. Your audience can pick up on, oh, this is a more masculine woman. This is a more feminine man. If you're subverting, expectations on that front. So then, find a very general, widely accepted definition of masculine traits, and then give your character those traits. So, you would have to, of course, show these traits. They would have to come out in situations in your story. So if you have a situation that would stereotypically cause a feminine character to become emotional, I'm going to look to the side so I can look at the list, to become emotional in some way, or passive or submissive, then this character does the opposite of that, would do what the man, quote unquote, would do in that situation. So instead of becoming emotional, perhaps she becomes very logical, perhaps she is very stoic, and becomes very, I don't want to say the word aggressive. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to think. Assertive. Now, these are not traits that we don't see exhibited in women or in female characters who are still supposed to be kind of feminine. Well, I don't know. If they are presenting these traits, you tell me, audience member, if you see a character that is female, feminine, looks feminine, perhaps does have some things that they're interested in that are stereotypically feminine, but perhaps they become very assertive or aggressive or domineering in a situation, does that now subconsciously or consciously give you an impression of this character that is more masculine? I think that we can even look to things like anime, right? Where there is this trope of a female character who is, aggressive and violent towards, the male protagonist or whatever. But it's played for laughs because, at least initially, maybe not so much anymore, maybe earlier on in anime, this is also my opinion, so I could be wrong, and you have a different opinion. That's totally fine. We don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree. But in my view of this type of character, it seemed to be, especially in Japanese culture, played for laughs, because that is not how you would expect a woman to react in any kind of situation. And so it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of like, ooh, that's different, right? So anyway, I don't want to run on at the mouth and belabor this and start getting myself into hot water. But basically what I would say, my answer to this question, again, as always, not knowing the details of the story, the backstory of the character, the goal of the story, what story are we even telling? No idea. We just have like a little character blurb. What I would do, if this is the type of character that I wanted to write, is I would, TLDR, find widely accepted across many cultures in the world masculine traits, and you can even find some that maybe are not as super stereotypical. Like, go a little deep, see what other cultures are saying about what is masculine in personality and in pursuit and things like that, beyond just things like, I like trucks and sports, you know. You know what I'm saying? What is inherently masculine? Do some deep diving, and then choose some traits that you can show through circumstances in your story that the character encounters, and then give her those traits. Give her different kinds of reactions. Give her a way that she speaks that belies, am I using that word correctly? I just like to throw words out here, girl, and I don't even know if I'm using it correctly, but that belies her feminine, soft, girly exterior, right? And you can choose what those are, whatever works best for your story. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know in the comments. Let's continue the discussion down below if you have any thoughts. How would you give a traditionally feminine, girly looking character masculine traits that go beyond just what we would call a tomboy? And conversely, how would you do that in the reverse? You know, a man's man looking man's man, but there are feminine traits. I don't know. Is that even something that we're interested in? Perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, listen, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for spending some time with me. I hope that you got some steps. This is a quick one. Quick little what? Let me see. Where are we? A quick little 10-minute. Ooh, excuse me. My digestive system won't let me be great. But a quick little 10-minute walk. Get 1,000 steps real quick. You know what I'm saying? And listen, see you next time. See you next week, friend. Same bat time, same bat station.